Today we are going to have a look at a very special type of case, the Cooler Master MasterBox Q500l, or how I like to call it, how can such a good concept end up being so bad? This episode is brought to you by CDKoffers.com. CDKoffers offers a wide variety of software or game keys for a fraction of their usual retail price. You can get your usual PC game codes or even library codes for things like Steam, Uplay and Origin. But the most important part for us are the software codes. Here we can get software activation codes for things like MS Office or Windows 10 for a ridiculously cheap price. And right now you can also use the promo code TS20 to get a 20% discount to make the already cheap Windows 10 license even cheaper. If you want to get that nasty activation message away, make sure to head down to the links in the description below and don't forget to use the promo code TS20 for a 20% discount. To understand my frustration with this case, you have to know that I did not only buy this case to do a review on the channel, but the plan was actually to use it later on as my personal rig at home, once I'm done here. No way I'll do that. So to choose random hardware for the reviews, I'm usually just going through the biggest online retailers that I know, and I just swipe through all of the stuff, and when I see something that I find interesting, I look at one or two other pictures and then I decide. And in this whole process, I completely ignore spec sheets or reviews or anything actually. I read nothing, and for a very good reason. I know that no matter how hard you would try to stay neutral, once you've read or heard an opinion, you will always be influenced by it. And because I think it is very important for me to get that completely neutral first impression of any product, I try to do whatever I can to read as little as possible until I've used the product for the very first time. And today is the day that this really backfired on me. But not everything is bad, every case has something positive to it, so let's go over the features. The Cooler Master MasterBox Q500l is an incredibly small case while still offering support for up to ATX motherboard size. In terms of fans, we have a pre-installed 120mm fan in the back. The top offers support for two 120s or 140 fans with a up to 240 radiator. There are two additional 120mm fan spots in the bottom. The Q500l supports CPU coolers that are up to 160mm high. The PSU placement is in the front of the case and can be moved a bit up or down depending on your personal needs. But the location and length of the power supply directly affects the maximum GPU length. With power supplies that are shorter than 160mm and mounted at the very top, the GPU can be up to 360mm long. If the power supply is longer or placed a bit down, the GPU cannot be longer than 270mm. For cable management, there are cable cutters all around the mainboard and there is around 3 cm of space behind the mainboard. Even though the I/O is just okay with two USB 3.0 audio in and out and a Cooler Master logo shaped start button, it has a very special feature which lets you move the complete I/O panel to the top or to the bottom. Almost all of the case is built like a Swiss cheese. There are a ton of tiny holes covering the complete front, top and bottom part of the case. The front and top have a nice looking mesh-like magnetic filter, while the bottom has a really cheap filter that is held in place with rubber knobs. In the back we can find the drive brackets. Here we have two brackets, each supporting one 3.5 inch or two 2.5 inch drives. Okay, so because I did not read anything about the MasterBox Q500l, my first disappointing surprise came when I unboxed it. This is plastic. Oh, why? But let's go one step back to the reason why I found this so interesting to begin with. Behind all of these magnetic filters, there is a chassis that is almost completely filled with holes from top to bottom. So from a cooling concept, I thought this was a very good idea. But not only are these sheets really restrictive, but having the PSU placed in the front prevents you from mounting any fan in the front at all. At least according to the manual, because I tried and you can if you push the PSU low enough. But okay, let's say you can't, no problem, just mount a couple of fans in the bottom. But wait, what are those? No way that the bottom will get any decent air intake. And to make it even worse, the dust filter they've used in the bottom is the worst that I've ever seen so far. That's the kind of stuff you would see in sub 20 euro budget cases. The second reason why I wanted this is the front I/O panel. It may lack USB-C, that's alright, but the fact that I can reposition it to the bottom is extremely useful and really easy to use if you want to use the case on a table or slightly higher than yourself. That would be ideal. So that's one positive aspect right there. While we are on the subject of positive things, there is something else. The drive plates in the back. They are really not bad. 2 3.5 or 4 2.5 inch drives in such a small case is really impressive. But now let's get back to the bad stuff. Build quality. The quality in here is just unacceptable. Everything feels cheap, and even the I/O panel is like always this far away from me breaking it. I know that this still counts as a budget case, but the thickness of the metal is the same as in this 19 euro budget case. And we are not done. The PSU mounting system is horrible. If you're mounting it at the top, you have no front fan. And if you push it to the bottom, you need a GPU like this. The side panel is made out of plastic, which is something that even budget cases can avoid. Because of the size of the top and front filter, they just tend to fall off. And if you do not mount your fans 100% straight, something like this will happen. But hey, at least Cooler Master included these rubber knobs which keep everything in place. But they will still fall off. The bottom dust filter looks, feels, and it is attached really bad. Oh yeah, and who thought that having these extra feet on the side would be useful? Not only are you completely unable to place it directly against the wall because you would have these 2 centimeters sticking out, but who in his right mind would want something like this being placed on his table? No, great as a coffee table, but no. Sorry, but I was really expecting something better from a brand like Cooler Master. But we cannot stop here, because this case made me question if my hardware was failing. Just like I always do with cases, I took my 3700X, overclocked it to 4.2 GHz with 1.2 volts on the V-core, installed a Be Quiet Rock Pro 4 without any fans, 3 Arctic P12s on top of full blast, and saw how the CPU is being cooled. I know that this is a bit unconventional, but I believe that this way I will get the most exaggerated results, which then can show me how well the airflow inside of a case actually works. I couldn't install 2 fans in the front as I usually do, so I just placed one on top of the power supply and one in the bottom as intake, and then of course the one in the back as exhaust. 73 degrees C. Congratulations Cooler Master, your Q500l just lost to a Intertech C303, a case that is almost half the price and still managed to have 2 tempered glass side panels. Okay, so at this point I thought maybe the PSU blasts way too much heat into the case. That would be unfair, so let's put 6 P12s in there. All of them of course full blast. 71 degrees C. That's 8 degrees behind the worst case in our lineup, which by the way had space for only 5 fans. Or it is only 1 degree ahead of a 30 euro budget case with only 3 fans. So kudos Cooler Master. But wait, it gets even worse. At this point I was wondering what would happen if I put these CPU fans back on the cooler. So I did. 60 degrees C. So the Q500l with 6 fans, a complete Be Quiet Rock Pro 4, managed to keep the CPU at the same temperature as the Acer Hive without any fans. Let that sink in for a second. After I wrote down these numbers, I started to question if anything is wrong with my hardware. Maybe I damaged it while I was switching cases, I don't know. So I started googling. Wait, no, everybody got these results. Oh man, what did I buy here? Okay, so now I still have one thing that I would like to try. The NZXT Kraken X53. Let's see if water cooling can save this. and that's 82 degrees C. Oh, that's still bad. That's still bad. That's 10 degrees C over the test bench. It really does look good, but it is still grilling the CPU. 82 degrees C is way too much for a 241. It's better, but it's still bad. Really bad. No matter if the oversized water cooler made it better, it is still bad. I mean, it is still bad. The build quality is bad. The PSU mounting system is bad. It is plastic. The feet are a joke. And nobody, I hope nobody, will ever use this with the side facing up. Who wants this? Then you have the dust filters, which are way too restrictive, and so many other things. The only thing that basically works in here is repositioning the I/O and the cable management, but that's basically it. But no matter how much I complain about this, I just don't get why it doesn't work. Ignoring all the quality issues, the concept of having like a almost air pass-through case, it should work really, really good. And the design is also not bad. I like it. I still think it looks good. Cooler Master should really get back to the drawing board and figure out why the hot air isn't getting out of here. Replace this, make the feet higher, and never, ever do this again. And then you would maybe have something that I would really want to get my hands on again. But right now, in case I was too sour, don't buy the Q500l. It's a bad case. Get a shoebox, it has better cooling. Oh, no way, this isn't a bad PC case. It's a really good coffee heater. Anyway, for anybody that still wants to know more about this case, I will leave the manufacturing links and some affiliate links down in the description below. Right now, the case is going for 50 euros or around $60. Badly spent $60. And if you want to read more about it, I will leave a link to the written review over on our website. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you want to see a good case, have a look at the NZXT H510i. At least that one can cool.